D-line at Florida State used to be one of the staple positions in college football. They've got some work to do here in 2020 under Mike Norvell. We got Jason Parker on the line. Joins us every Tuesday night to talk Florida State football, so you got to join us as well. 7 o'clock Eastern time, our live stream, live chat room, best in college football. You got to join in. Jason, we got a couple decent players coming back in Corey Durden and Marvin Wilson as well along that defensive front. So not quite like the condition of the offensive line. So put away the atrocious,
right?
The pathetic, pretty good, pretty substantial, capable, but not Florida State standard of yesteryear.
I think I said disgusting was another word that I used in that one. But yeah, the biggest signing of the 2020 class for Florida State on the defensive side of the ball would be the fact that Marvin Wilson did come back. Marvin Wilson, obviously, defensive tackle. He'll be a senior from the Houston, Texas area. This was huge for Florida State. As much as we talked about in previous ones about Tamarian Terry being a huge returning player on the offensive side of the ball, Marvin Wilson arguably could be an even bigger signing on the or bigger returning on the defensive side of the football. Because if he left, that defensive line would be in shambles. Him in the middle, and Mike Norvell before spring football started in his press conference report talked about how Wilson has improved physically as far as his size and whatnot leading up into spring football. So the fact that he can come back and lead that group is huge. You mentioned Corey Durden. Corey Durden is someone who once again, we've talked about this before, when he plays well, when he shows up, he has the chance to be sort of like that Marvin Wilson mold, sort of like a game changer. They're both 6'5", both about 310 pounds, so they both have that size and that speed and whatnot. The biggest name probably on that line that Florida State missed a lot in 2019 was when Joshua Kendo went down with an injury in the Virginia game and missed the rest of the season. That was a huge loss that I seriously do not think Florida State bounced back from. And you could argue that in that Virginia game, if he plays in that game, if he plays in the Wake Forest game, you could argue he is that much of that physical presence that Florida State could have won both those games, and we're talking about a much different team entering the 2020 season. So that's going to be another player for the Seminoles that I want to see come the spring, come the fall, that I think if he can come back to anywhere near what he was before his injury, Florida State should be just fine on the defensive line.
With currently no NBA, NHL, or Major League Baseball, you might think there's nothing to bet on. Well, you'd be wrong. BetOnline still has hundreds of places to wager, from their online casino to poker and blackjack, all open 24 hours a day and all online. Sports aren't totally done. There's still mixed martial arts, golf, esports, XFL, and many more. And hey, what about American Idol, the elections, the spelling bee, and even the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest? Be sure to use promo code CLNS50. That's CLNS50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your very first deposit. BetOnline, your full access wagering solution. Wilson, 8.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks last year. Durden, 6.5 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. They both shared the team lead in sacks. So we're looking at two certainties. Right. One certainty if healthy, and then a lot of guys.
If Marvin Wilson can play anywhere near what Marvin Wilson has done in his first 3 years, he's arguably one of the top 5 defensive linemen in the entire country. That is a given right there. From there, it's a question of who is going to play around him. Florida State is more than likely going to go back to the 4-3, which they experimented, which was their staple. Then they experimented with 3-4 for kind of a hybrid 3-4. It was weird. It was weird under the Taggart era. We're not really sure, what it was. But they're going to go back to playing more of a 4-3. So that's going to be where you're going to see guys like we talked about, Joshua Kendo, Janarius Robinson from the Panama City area. Those are probably going to be your starters on the end. Josh Griffiths is a freshman signee who will be there during spring football, played at IMG Academy from the Gainesville area. So that's going to be somebody who you're going to see there. Another defensive end who should be looked at is a transfer from Louisville, guy by the name of Jared Jackson. They hate us in Louisville between both Griffin. He was committed to Louisville, then he left. Jared Jackson, who transferred from Louisville. He's actually from the Palm Beach area. but he's transferring to Florida State, so he's going to be an interesting guy there. Dennis Bruce Jr. is another end from the Orlando area, from the Kissimmee area, 6'4", 272. He's going to be another guy I want to see. I want to see more from him on that side of the ball. At defensive tackle, there's a lot of size there. We talked about Marvin Wilson. We talked about Corey Durden, both being 6'5". Robert Cooper, 6'2", 332 from the state of Georgia area. Malcolm Ray, who's coming in 6'2", 275 from the Miami area. True Thompson's another guy I want to see from. He came in heralded from the Georgia area, 6 foot, 304, but he's 304 and 6 foot, which you might think, wow, that's fat, but it's the size. He's muscle. So there's a lot of guys there who could play. If these guys can step up, get this exposure in the spring, I think that's a side of the ball. It's a lot like the offensive line in that it's going to be 4 guys by commit. It's going to be Marvin Wilson and then 3 other guys. So the question is going to be, how much are we going to see from Joshua Kando? Will he come back in time for the spring, or is he going to be someone you're going to wait and see from until the fall? Can guys like True Thompson? Can guys like Malcolm Ray? How much will Jared Jackson come in from Louisville? So it's going to be a lot of these guys, but it's going to be those guys that there may not be a lot of during the spring of, oh, man, look at this line. Come fall football, it could be an interesting part of this team.
And Cooper played the nose pretty effectively, 5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. But as you mentioned, with a 4-3 most likely on the horizon, then he's going to have to change up his technique and play the D tackle position. Jason Parker helping us break down Florida State football. Join all the positional previews and, of course, our Florida State Seminoles live show, 7 o'clock Eastern time. And the best way to get all the notifications for the live streams is to subscribe right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
It's what we do.